Good morning to all of our friends out there in the interweb land who know that Parent Tween Connection is a place to go to find out information to help you navigate life with those fun aliens known as teens and tweens. And you come here to get more information and more insight and more community. I am super excited to have Dr. Priyanka Venkataraman. I said that right, yes?
Yes, you did. Perfect.
Good. As a guest with us today, we are going to be talking about how to maintain some of that inner composure, that calmness, and that connectedness when those fun teenagers, or maybe not so teenagers, life in general, makes us have like a WTAF moment, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So, Priyanka, I'm super excited to have you with us today. Can you first of all take a minute or so and give us a little bit of your background and how it is that you came to launch Wayfinding Moms and kind of like your primary philosophy behind the coaching that you offer? We'll start there.
Sure. So I have been a physician for 12 years and I worked with women as an OBGYN in women's health and worked with them for years. And my philosophy then has remained my philosophy now, which is that I truly want to help others the way I wish I was served and helped and treated myself. And that is what I've continued to do. And this journey brought me a little bit of guidance through medicine and a little bit of burnout, honestly, because I just tried to give and give and give so much to all the people because I really cared about them. And that just didn't work with the way medicine is set up in this world right now, or at least in the United States right now. And that's where I didn't even realize that I was probably burning out in 2018, where I started looking for other jobs, but I couldn't seem to find anything that fit or was any better than what I was already doing. So I just kept chugging along like we're supposed to, and then add into the mix having a delivery, which was complicated. And prior to that, the pregnancy, which had a lot of disability, and then postpartum, having undiagnosed anxiety and a kid who has a lot of allergies. And this is all through the pandemic and the requirement of being the sole nutrition provider for him for 14 months during the pandemic. While working full-time. And full-time, by the way, as an OBGYN is about, 60 to 75 hours average. So some weeks it's 90 hours, some weeks it's 60 hours. There is no 40-hour week with medicine. And with that, I still kept chugging along like we're supposed to. Eventually, we lost our childcare where we had a nanny working for us for about 50 hours a week just to keep us afloat. And that's when we tried to get him into care, and nobody really wanted to work for an essential healthcare worker in that time. And also when we finally got him in a wait list and into daycare, he landed up the first one to bring home COVID. Luckily, it was January 2022 by then, and we'd all gotten the vaccines. But that's when, he was barely at school because he had no exposures. He hadn't even been to the grocery store. And now, any illness, they're still afraid and send him home with any sniffles. So for the first 6 months, he probably went to school for about 6 weeks. And, that's where we tried to make it work, where I would rush in for surgeries in the morning, cancel my afternoon patients, rush home so that my husband can start work. But we really had that conversation about, either one of us lets go of what we're doing or both of us will be let go. And that is actually how I left medicine, with no game plan, but saying, okay, I can't cut it. I can't do both. My kid is where I need to prioritize. And for me, that was a point for me to recognize that I've had several clues that, I wasn't headed in the direction I wanted to. I really love serving. I really love healing. I really love working with women, and all that's true. And this time to take a step back allowed me to go through a whole personal growth journey, to find coaching, to find what I loved, which was the Wayfinder Life Coach Training by Martha Beck, which is all about finding your North Star, finding your way, finding your purpose. And that's where I found, I really want to serve women and I really want to help them my way. And I really do enjoy the conversations I have with them. And having the constraint of a 15-minute block where I have 3 people overbooked where I can't talk to them was not cutting it for me. And I was the physician who would be calling them back after hours in my own time while taking it away from my kid because they only got 7 minutes in the office, but I knew this postpartum lady needed help. And I spent an hour with her after hours, not getting reimbursed and taking away time from my family for that. And that's how the burnout got worse and just unimaginable.
And that's why I wanted to start there. I know that wasn't something that you had on your agenda, but knowing you personally, as I do, I knew that that was going to be an important grounding for the conversation that we're having today, because so many moms, especially, and I don't mean to take away from dads, but in our culture here, at least in the Western world, right, the moms are still the
Mhm.
default caregivers in an assumed heteronormative or paired situation. Never mind single parents and all of that jazz, right? So I wanted our listeners to know that you're coming here from a place of like having lived it, not just like it's
Mhm.
not theory, it's practice for you. So
Yeah.
you say, Priyanka, that you have a what you call the pause method. So it's 5 steps, I'm assuming, P.A.U.S.E, that help families or help parents regulate their own emotions, which we can't help the kids co-regulate if we're not regulated. So regulate our own emotions as the adults in the situation. You say it helps you to respond instead of reacting.
Mhm.
Where were you 35 years ago when my mom needed you? And then help to create a calm, connected space, which I imagine is what every parent wants, is to not constantly be fighting and arguing and high stress and all the things, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's just jump into it.
No,
How did you come up with it, and where do we go?
yeah, sure. So how did I come up with? I was the one that summer of 2022 with a toddler melting down and tantruming with next to me 24/7. Now that there's no other care and I'm the main care provider, and it's summertime, so there's no daycare anymore either. So no breaks. And that's when I was triggered. And that's when I said, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of winging it. This isn't working for me. And that's where I looked for help. And of course, first we go to all the books, we go to all the Instagram accounts. I got my first Instagram account just so I could follow all the places where I could get this information. And
Sure.
it's it still didn't work because we're trying to take other material and make it our own. But what really is lacking, and what was lacking for me then, is this understanding that I need to do the work first. And
Mhm.
I need that work to first work through my triggers done first, which is uncomfortable and nerve
Mhm.
wracking. But once I do that, then I can actually show up for him.
Mhm.
And I found myself hiring a parent coach. And I just love the transformation it brought in our family. With all of his prior allergies and illnesses, with all of my postpartum anxiety around his delivery and the anxieties I had around his birth weight of less than 1 percentile, it was all coming through. And now this 3-year-old, where I was a hovering and a helicoptering parent because I was still anxious about his health and anxious about his nutrition. And I was kind of smothering him in a way. And
Mhm.
that was making him show up differently.
Mhm.
And that was causing more meltdowns and tantrums in him. And when I got through working on that, and it's never done, the work is always continuing. And there I find that I'm peeling more and more onion layers off of it. But as I did that work and paused on that and took a step back, I recognized that, you know what? Once I can get my stuff out of the way, he's actually freer. He's actually more open. He's actually not having as many meltdowns. And even if he has them, because he is a kid, he's going to, I can now bring
Mhm.
him down quicker because I'm regulated and I'm not
Right.
dysregulated by his dysregulation and spiraling us both out of control. And that's
Right.
what I love about this tool. I've brought it through all of my own struggles, all through the Wayfinder program that I did, and also through the parent coaching that I did. And then I did a deeper dive in parent coaching, and now I'm a certified parent coach, which is why, it's been a mixed pieces where I've
Mhm.
picked it up from all over. And it really resonated with me where there's 3 parts to it, as you said. First is we can use this pause tool to first regulate ourselves. Then we
Mhm.
can use this tool to understand our kid and why they're dysregulated and hopefully co-regulate in the moment. And then the best part, my favorite part, which is to then, once the kid is regulated, go back and discuss, hey, did you recognize what happened? And show them how to use the tool for themselves so they can start
Mhm.
implementing it. And even just talking about it after the fact is already building those new neural pathways that can help them in the moment next time. And it's so important to get
Love
that
it.
ball rolling.
Well, and that's especially when the kiddos are younger, as yours is right now. That makes an impact when the kiddos get into those teen and tween years, right? But what you're
Mhm.
about to share with us, I know, isn't only the effective in the realm of littles. It is absolutely
Yeah.
possibly even more important because the kids are more autonomous as they get older, right? So
Yes,
there's an
absolutely.
aspect where I can't say more important, but just as impactful as they get older?
Honestly, I don't think we learned it as when we were growing up. I don't know if I
Mhm,
knew it as an adult. It was a
mhm.
unlearning of other tactics of just shoving down my emotions and really relearning how to deal with my own
Absolutely.
dysregulation. And I think all of us could use it, not just teens or tweens, not all adults could use it first. So we can then start there. And then hopefully
Perfect.
some of the kids are already getting it in school, hopefully. And
Mhm.
hopefully we can help our teenagers. I did a conference where I talked to a lot of women physicians, and they actually said, "Can you give me more flyers? Because I think my high school student needs it too."
Mhm.
And yeah,
Absolutely.
this is absolutely helpful for everyone.
All right,
um,
so let's get into it. What
yeah.
is the process? What are the 5 pieces?
So PAUSE, that's literally all it's about, pause. And P stands for pause slash presence, which is all about getting in the moment. Because a lot of times when we are triggered, we are all over the place. For example, if it is a simple thing about, I don't know, my teen is not doing his homework. In our minds, we're going into, okay, he's not doing his homework. He's going to get a bad grade. Oh, he's going to get a bad grade. It's going to show on his report card. His report card's not going to look good. He's not going to get into a good college. He's not going to get into a good college. He's not going to, like, our mind is spiraling into the future. It's
Mhm.
gone way off course.
Absolutely.
And if
Mhm.
we could just, so if we're coming from the places he's going to fail in life,
Right.
and we want this homework done now, we're of course going to show up with, you need to get that homework done now.
Right.
Whereas if we get in the present, pause and get out of our spiral, then we can show up in the present moment and recognize, okay, it's about the homework right now. But the way to
Mhm.
pause really matters on how we've implemented pause and presence and stillness throughout our lives. Because there's this idea of a baseline where
Mhm.
if we are already in a fast paced world, kind of triggered automatically and overwhelmed with the day
Mhm.
to day, then we're at a higher baseline. And it's so
Yep.
easy to go over the threshold and be triggered by the smallest of things. But if
Mhm.
we're doing all the techniques, whether it is taking the 5 minutes to take a walk out in nature, or it is you get a spa day if you can manage that, or you have regular routine exercise, or whatever it is, then you're keeping your baseline down so that you're not triggered as easily. And then
Mhm.
there's a portion of pause, which is when you do get triggered, if you have been already practicing stillness methods, you can easily get back down. If you are already at that level that those neural muscles are already there. So
Mhm.
practicing does actually help, but there are so many techniques. This is all about polyvagal theory and nervous system regulation. And it's about finding what works for us to get us back
Mhm.
to regulation. It also matters what's going on in the moment. If it's for a kid or a teenager or even an adult, if we've been running around crazy, trying to take a deep breath is not really going to cut it. We might actually need
Mhm.
something physical. Maybe it is jumping jacks. Maybe it is pushing against a wall. And then other times it could be it's just kind of happening in our heads, and we can just take a few deep breaths, try those diaphragmatic breaths, which is I like to put a hand on my chest, one hand on my belly, and I take deep
Mhm.
breaths and just make sure that my hand on the belly is the one moving out further.
Mhm.
And a lot of times our vagus nerve is also stimulated by our lips. So saying or humming or blowing raspberries or even
Mhm.
just blowing bubbles. Me and my kid, we try to do it as long as we can. And we have a game with it. And then it makes us silly and then makes it laugh. And laughing is a great way to get in the present moment too. And
And
to
it's a
be
great way
less
to break
triggered.
the tension.
Exactly. Absolutely. So all of these are ideas to just get people in the moment and to
Mhm.
not keep spiraling wherever they are. That's for
Awesome. Okay,
P.
so
Yeah.
P is present. What about
Yes.
A?
A is awareness. Awareness is where we get to spend the time sometimes in reflection. So if we remember the last time we were triggered, we can then look back and say, okay, what did happen there? Okay, why did I feel that? What emotions were there? Was I
Mm.
frustrated?
Mhm.
Was I angry? What was I physically feeling? Was my heart racing? Were my shoulders up? Was my neck tense? Is my jaw clenched? And as
Mhm.
we recognize it from the past and reflection, we can hopefully start recognizing it in the future
Sure.
and it's actively happening. And that's the idea
Mhm.
that the more we practice it, the more those muscles get trained to do it. And yeah, so A is for awareness, awareness that we are triggered, awareness that we are ready to react.
Mhm.
And hopefully, with awareness comes this 1 degree separation that we can then not land up reacting.
The example that I often offer to my students in terms of awareness is the, you know, understanding the reticular activating system of like, if you never owned a red Jeep Wrangler, you're probably not paying attention to all the red Jeep Wranglers that are out on the road. But as soon as you buy a red Jeep Wrangler, they're everywhere. The reality is that they were already everywhere. It's just that we have so much input into our brain on a daily basis. We have so much stimulus that if we actually had to process all of it, like our brains would probably come close to physically exploding. And so our brains filter it. And if we're filtering it out, we're never going to recognize it. And so I love that the awareness is the next step for you, because that helps us go, wow, I lost my crap there. Right. And like I flew off the handle, and where was the point at which I recognized that it was coming, but I couldn't stop it? Because then you can recognize it more readily next time.
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
So then what's the U?
U is for U is for understand. Understand is where we get to take the time. This can be not only in reflection, but it can be on working on past things. For example, I have 3 coaches that I work with right now, 2 that I barter with. The third, I actually pay way more than I charge for myself. And I have a therapist, and we're working on past things. And I'm still working on my postpartum stuff that I still haven't completely processed, because you're always peeling deeper onions. And understanding is looking in and within. Why are we triggered? What is going on? What is from our past life showing us that we're not feeling safe? And that can require some deep work. That can require a professional. I do always premise it by saying there is a possibility of little t trauma or big T trauma. And I want to be mindful of that. And please have people recognize that they might need professional support, and to not just try to figure this out on themselves.
Absolutely. Well, and whether it's a little T trauma or a big T trauma, both of them lead to T triggers.
Yes.
Right. Little T triggers or big T triggers. But especially when we're talking about littles, they don't necessarily have the capacity yet, because their brains aren't there to recognize that when mom or dad or auntie or grandma or whoever is triggered, that's their stuff, and then they take it on as their own, which is,
oh my goodness,
challenging.
So much. Yes. The shame and the guilt that they pick up so early. Oh, my 6-year-old's picking it up. Yeah. And it's
all
a
right.
constant
So present, aware, or become aware, awareness, understanding.
Self. S is for self. There's a lot in self. It's not just about self-care, because that is a portion, because you're technically trying to bring your baseline down by taking care of yourself first so you can show up for others. And it is about, what do I need now in that moment when I'm triggered? What do I need to recognize safety, to recognize that I'm okay and safe in this moment, that it is not this moment right now, this present moment is not like the past moment where I felt unsafe. And if the understand and the work has been done through coaching, through therapy, then hopefully you have some tools. But it's an idea of, okay, maybe even it is putting my hand on my heart and recognizing I am safe right now. Maybe it is checking in with that part, if we've done parts therapy, on who is this part that's been triggered in the past, and holding its hand or giving it a hug or reassuring it, or working with our inner child, whatever it is that we need in that moment to feel safe. Sometimes it's a mantra of, I can see I'm triggered. I actually can't feel safe in the situation. And maybe I do need to say, what I need in this moment is to get away from the situation. So, for example, if you're in a negotiation and it's not going the way you wanted it to go, and you are at a place where you're too triggered to continue, then it does mean, you know what, we need to get back on the table. This isn't working for me in this moment. And for our kids, it can mean showing them, you know what, I can't have this conversation right now, because I might end up saying something that I don't want to say or don't mean. So can we take a pause? Can we go out and walk for a bit, and then we'll come back to this conversation? And it's not abandoning them. It's not saying you're on your own. It is I'm still with you. I'm going to regulate myself. Let's see if you'd like to come with me. We'll regulate ourselves together, and then we can hopefully have this conversation at a later time.
Well, so and I think that's the key is then making sure that you go back to it.
Yes, absolutely. Right? So key.
and not just being like, oh, we'll have this conversation later, and then not actually coming back to it, because that's going to come across as abandonment or,
absolutely,
some variation thereof.
Yeah. And we could be talking about like a 5-minute walk and getting back to it. It could be, tonight, let's set aside this time and do this, and making it a concrete plan. But also with self is self-compassion and self-acceptance.
Tell me
because
more.
we all make mistakes. We all are going to get triggered. We all are going to react instead of responding. And especially as we reflect, we want to make sure that we come from a place of acceptance that this is going to happen, that
Mhm.
we are human, compassion for ourselves. And when we come with that place, we can actually share this with our kids, with our teens, with our tweens, saying, look, I was triggered
Mhm.
in that situation. And when we are able to show up that way, it actually shows our kids that, you know what, they're human too, they're normal. So this is
Sure.
okay to be this way. And what I'm
Mhm.
feeling is validated too, because my parents feel it too. Instead of looking at perfect parents that we're trying to, really push to be like, and then we're going to land up failing and feeling worse about ourselves. But to really
Right.
recognize, you know what, we're all the same.
Mhm.
So self acceptance, self compassion allows us to then, I'm sure a lot of your members have also heard this, allows us then to repair a rupture better than if we were not really being compassionate with ourselves. Because how can you apologize and say, I'm sorry I reacted, without first having self compassion, acceptance for your own reaction? Because how are
Right.
you going to show up and talk to yourself and while trying to tell your kid, hey, this is why I reacted? And the tone matters because subconsciously they're picking up on it, and how they will take care of themselves is based on how you show up and take care of yourself.
Well, and the point that you just made about repairing ruptures, I say to parents a lot, like emphasizing that we love the kids in our world even when they make mistakes,
Mm-hmm.
not even if. Like if is like, oh, maybe it won't happen. Let's be real. To your
Mm-hmm.
point, we're human. We're going to make mistakes. But not only
Yes.
do we need to say to them, I'm going to love you even when you make a mistake, but we need that message for ourselves. I'm going to give myself grace even when I do something that causes
Mm-hmm.
discomfort, challenge, difficulty, whatever it is, right? And going, okay,
Yeah.
well, what am I going to change going forward? Which again goes back to your awareness. What about that
Absolutely.
E, Priyanka?
E is honestly just, that's how you can efficiently respond instead of react. That's the easy one.
Uh-huh.
It's the hard work is the P.A.U.S. So then E comes flowing out. E is a great place to figure out how you would have preferred to respond when you're reflecting, so that in the
Mhm.
future, when that happens again, you can. And honestly, all I'd like to add to this is when we are doing this for ourselves, we can model it for our kids, our teens, our
Mhm.
tweens. We can show them, so this is what I'm going through in my head, P.A.U.S. And here, hopefully, we can figure out the E together.
Mhm.
And then we can also use it for when they're having a little bit of a dysregulation and they're,
Mhm.
upset about something, and show them, or go through it in our heads first. And oh, it looks like he's got being aware. Okay, it looks like he's triggered, or my teen is having a little bit of some. I can see the shoulders are hunched up, or whatever's going on, and understanding what might be going on for them, so that then we can first feel safe in ourselves and see, okay, what does my kid need now? The S can also be, what
Right.
does this other person in front of me need right now? And then hopefully the conversation can be, okay, so how would you like to get present? Do you need to do jumping jacks? Do you need to take a few deep breaths? What can I do with you? Do you need a hug? I'm here for you. And it allows us to use that pause method threefold in one conversation.
Mhm. And this is one of the things that I love about bringing guests like you into our conversations is that this is now something where a parent can say to their kid, "Hey, I watched this YouTube today, or I heard this conversation and I really liked this. I wanted to share it with you." And it's something tangible that they can use this as a jumping off point, right? Because so often it's like, well, how do I start that conversation about
Mhm.
how I engaged or how they engaged or whatever, right? But go, hey, I heard this conversation and they had this strategy and I really liked it and I'm going to try it. Is it something that maybe we could do together? Right. So they can go and
Beautiful.
implement that in their homes
Yeah.
easily. And I love that it's a simple 5-part acronym because
Yeah.
it's
And
easy
it's
to remember.
honestly, the more we role model it, the more we share it, the more it sticks with even people who are just kind of listening to us and not really ready even. My 6-year-old has been looking at me do it, and he knows what pause
Huh?
stands for too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and so much of what we're teaching, whatever we're teaching, is we're teaching the thoughts behind the actions, right? Like as a test prep coach for me, I'm teaching the thinking. When you see this, you need to think this, right? And it's no different here. It's like, saying to your 5-year-old or your 15-year-old, okay, wait, you're spiraling. I can see that your brain is going 1,000 miles out in the future. Let's come back and go, like, what do I actually know is true right now? Like, you didn't do your homework today. yes, there are potential ramifications, but what do we know today? You didn't do your homework today. Let's consider those, but come back and go, what can I change? Right? Like,
Yes.
so I love
Yes.
that it's
And
easy to
the
bring to
you
them.
and understand in that situation can be getting curious. Okay, you didn't do your homework today. Let's understand what's
Mhm.
going on. Could it be that you were really struggling with one part of it? Or could it be that
Yep.
you're really tired? So it's also having that conversation and understand too.
Sure. Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we always round out our conversations with our guests by asking, and Priyanka, you and I talked about this. Everything that we do at Parent Tween Connection is founded in what I call the foundations of connection, where I basically sat down with myself and my brain and my journal, and I was like, why is it that so often, as a mentor to young adults, why do they often feel more comfortable coming to me and talking about some pretty personal things and some heavy things before they're ready to go talk to their parents? And so I was like, what am I able to offer because I'm not their parent that makes them feel a little bit more comfortable? And so what I came up with is the word connection. And we have 10 concepts. And so I always ask our guests which of these kind of like snaps for them first based on what we've talked about today. So for folks tuning in, let me go through them and then I'll have you, Priyanka, share yours. So it's C is create a safe place. And we mean that in an emotional space, not just a physical. O is observe. N is non-judgment. Then the next N is nod and smile, as in zip it. Then we have explore. We have challenge your truths. We have take your time. We have innovate. We have own your own story. And the last N is nurture. And I'm guessing you were trying to type those down to grab them.
I have
But,
them. I'm
with what
good.
we've talked about, which one is kind of popping for you most right now, Priyanka?
It's honestly creating a safe place.
Mhm.
That's the key, isn't it? Because when we are trying to pause for ourselves, we are first creating a safe place for ourselves, and then hopefully creating a safe place for our child or whoever we're connecting or hopefully to have a conversation with. So we can then
Mhm.
co regulate instead of both of us spiraling out. Yeah,
Awesome.
that's the
Love
one
it.
that sticks out the
All right.
most.
So, Priyanka, for folks tuning in who are interested in learning more about your coaching and you and your experiences, what's the easiest way for them to find you?
Honestly, wayfindingmoms.com and
Okay.
Wayfinding Moms on Facebook and Instagram is where I'm at. I have
Awesome.
free consults. People can just hop on for 30 minutes with me. And I have wayfindingmoms.com/pause where you can actually get the worksheet. Whoever wants it has
Awesome.
access to it. Yeah.
Awesome. We will grab those links and put them in the description, the notes for today for this conversation. And we are going to close out this public conversation. And Priyanka and I are actually going to go into Parent Tween Village. That is our family community. And we are going to have a more in-depth conversation together about thriving through change. You all, everybody tuning in, you heard Priyanka talking a bit about at the beginning about her own experiences as a new mom during COVID and as a practicing medical professional. And so she certainly had her amount of change in life, her fair dose of change. And so if you are not yet a member of Parent Tween Village and you would like to meet, you can learn more at parenttweenconnection.com. And we'd love to have you join our community where we're all about supporting families with guests like Priyanka and community and education to help you show up as effectively as you can for your kiddos. So, Priyanka, thank you and stand by.
Awesome. Thanks so much.